Thanks for joining me today in the beauty garden. I'm going to show you how to get the perfect base, from how to find a good primer through to how to find the best color and shade for your foundation and how to match to your overall skin tone. And then we're going to look at where you should conceal so that you can get the best coverage. I am going to take you through these steps a little bit more slowly than you would normally do them at home, but once you have them under wraps, you'll be doing this in next to no time, and you can probably tick this over with your makeup routine in under 5 minutes. The first thing that I would like to point out about any foundation base is that you do need to have a good primer. Primer works in two ways. So for the first way that it works is that it allows you to have a barrier between your skincare and the foundation that you put on your face. Obviously, if you're using foundation every single day for 20 to 30 years of your life, a lot of ladies do, you want to make sure that you're not compromising the integrity of your skin by putting on foundation that's either not the best quality, but not only that, it will get into your pores, and after time you will see the effects of the foundation if you're not using a good barrier cream or primer. The other thing, of course, is that primer allows the foundation to go on perfectly even. You get a much better coverage, and it is going to help your foundation last all day. So that's probably the thing I get asked most about, is how I can make my foundation last from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. The answer is a good primer. So what we're going to do is I'll show you a couple of really great primers that I like to use, and I'll just pop one on, and then we'll work about putting on our foundation, and you can see the difference. So the primer that I really recommend and I quite like is Becca. This is the mattifying primer, which creates a nice firm surface. It's also particularly good for oily skin. For me personally, I use the Silky Hydrating Primer, and that's also beautiful if you've got a bit more of a drier complexion. So for today, because we're in summer here, I'm going to try the mattifying primer, which I probably wouldn't usually use, but I do not want my skin to shine even though we are going to do a dewy complexion. So just showing you how much you should probably use, about a 10-cent piece. You could probably get away with a little bit less. And the foundation that I'm going to be using, I don't need to have a lot of primer because it's quite gel-like consistency. So in a perfect world, I'm applying it with my brush, and I'm just going to apply it in even short strokes, starting in my cheek zone and moving through my chin evenly all over the face. The makeup that I'm using today, and as with anyone trying to get a nice luminous finish, I recommend that you use a luminous foundation as opposed to using a matte foundation and then trying to build the highlighting to sort of bring it back up to that dewy look. You can do that, but it is a lot easier if you just go with something that's quite a lighter consistency or has a bit of a luminous finish about it. Two foundations that I particularly like and I recommend. One is the NARS Sheer Glow. I use the color Barcelona. I am a little bit darker. The light in here is quite bright, so you probably can't see the true tone of my skin. But Barcelona is one of the darker shades. And then the other thing with NARS is you can actually apply this with your fingers. That's the way it's supposed to be applied. But for the purposes of even coverage, I always recommend that you use a brush. And I applied my primer with a foundation brush. So when you pop it on, you actually don't need a lot, probably as much as a 5 to 10-cent piece. And if I want to, I can actually mix this with a luminizer. You can see it. I'll mix them together with my brush and apply it straight to my face. This will give the foundation an even more dewy look. So I'm just going to show you how we apply a foundation. Again, we just want light feathery strokes, and we want to make sure that whatever we apply to our face matches our overall skin tone. So I'm matching to my chest as well as my forehead, which is naturally about 2 or 3 shades darker. You're probably better off to go with something that matches your overall tone and then add any more color that you need to. And the next step will be to conceal. Okay, so with concealer, there's really two types, and there's a few places where you want to conceal on your face. When you're concealing your whole face, so for instance, if you are a person like myself who likes more of just an overall tint just to even out the skin tone, and then just concealing through the T-zone and wherever else you might have a few blemishes or just patches of darkness, or just want to really create that nice airbrushed look, what we would use is a stick foundation, or in the case of myself, I use the NARS Duo. That's one version. The lighter color you'll notice here, and then there's a darker color. So the lighter color is for inside the dark eyelid, the dark sections underneath your eyes. So just through here. I find that when you apply concealer, it's a good idea also just to look down. You can really see where that darkness is, usually through, just through here and through there. Okay. And then the dark section you can apply wherever else you might need a little bit of extra coverage. So then there's another type, which is also a great product, the Garnier Roll-On. It's an eye caffeine roll-on. This little brush here, which is actually a lip brush. But the reason I like using it is because I can get into exactly where that little dark line is there, and then I can use the other brush to blend it out. I'm going to show you how we do this, because it's really important that when you're concealing, you don't conceal onto the puffiness, which is already light. You just want to conceal into that dark ring there, because we want to bring the dark ring up to the same level as where it's already light under the eye. If you conceal the whole eye, you're just going to be accentuating any puffiness that is there. Okay, so, and I'm going underneath my eye where I can see where it's dark, and on the inner rim here, inner eye. And you can already see that decreasing a little bit, literally drawing in where that line is. If you want to go underneath the actual lash line at the bottom, that's also a nice way to open up the eye. And just tapping it out. Any of the makeup houses will have a brush like this. I don't know what the actual name or number of this particular brush is, but it is my staple brush, and I use it pretty much for everything, blending, shading. It's great for getting underneath in little delicate areas where you need to conceal, but you don't want to use a big brush. I'm now going to use the darker color, sorry, the darker one here, to do around my nose and around my mouth. And that's how you achieve a more youthful appearance in this area, is just to lighten that up just that little bit, because when it casts that shadow, it's amazing how much it can age. Okay, so that's my concealing and my base done. If I want more coverage, I can either apply another layer of my face and body, because it is a very, very light foundation, or I can apply something that's a little bit heavier like the NARS. For the purposes of a really soft day look, I prefer to have a light foundation coverage. And just remember, once you've also applied your cream blush, you can probably also apply a little bit more foundation over that if you want to mute it back any further. So I will show you how to do that in just a sec.